This is probability. So if I'm going to do the even one. So I'm going to do 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, and 20. All right, as you should probably be able to get these pretty quickly. So the first one here says, what's the probability of green? So if I look at here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So remember, there's 5 total pieces. Let me put this over here on number 1 here. So I have 5 total. And how many of those are green? Well, there's 1, so it's 1/5. So number 2 is 1/5. So that is the letter T, and that goes into number 2, which is right here. Okay. If I do the next one, which one says not yellow? Well, I have 1 that's yellow, so that means there are 4 that are not yellow. Out of how many? 5, 4/5. So you know that's the letter I. So number 4, you put I. And I'm not going to do the rest down here, but I'll just show you. The next one here says a blue, a red, or a yellow. You can get a blue, red, or yellow. Well, I have 1 blue, 1 yellow, 1 red, so that's 3 out of how many? 5. So that's what I have. So remember, your probability is the total outcomes over your total wants. So I wanted 3, I could get blue, red, or yellow, and I have 5, so there it is. I do the same thing down here. For these, what is the probability of white? Well, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, so I have 4 outcomes here that I need. And I have out of how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4 out of 8 will be my answer, or 1/2. It simplifies the 1/2. A white or a shaded. Well, I have 4 whites. I have 3 that are shaded, so that's 7. Out of how many? Well, there's 8. 7 out of 8. Striped or shaded. Well, I have 1, 2, 3 striped, 1 shaded, so that tells me 4. Out of how many? 8. So I can have a 1/2 or 50% chance. And one that's not white. So well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's 4 out of 8, which is also 1/2. So that's basically what I'm doing here. I'm finding what is my total wants, and it tells me out of how many there are altogether. Okay. The next one's here is number 16, 18, and 20. It says, what's the probability of guessing the correct answer to a multiple choice question if there are 5 choices? So remember, if we get, so how many correct answers are there? So it's kind of like you have A, B, C, D, and E. Those are your choices. So that says I've got 5 total choices, and only one of those is the right answer. Say this is my right answer. So your choices here is 1 out of 5. I have 5 total, and 1 is the answer, so it's 1 out of 5. Number 18 says, what is the probability that your birthday will fall on a Saturday or a Sunday? Well, I got to think about how many days are in a week. You should probably say that you already know that there are 7 days in a week, so that's my total. And how many days, Saturday or Sunday? Well, that's 2. 2 out of 7. Number 20 says, of the class of 25 students, 15 girls and 10 boys, if one student is chosen at random, what is the probability it is a girl? Well, how many total kids do I have? I've got 25 total kids. And I want to know how many of them are a girl. So it says 15. 15 out of 25. And 5 can go into both of those. So I get 3/5. So it simplifies the 3/5. So that's why we would, they're simplified up here on the top. So that's basically the first one right there. So you have all the odds to do on that one. Okay. Flip over to the next page here. The next one is the same thing here. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, and so forth as you go forward. So remember, these are not multiple choice. You have to pick which ones you want. You do each one, and whatever your answer is, you match it up down at the bottom. So like if I do this one's the same way, how many equally likely outcomes are there on a 6-sided dice? Well, how many outcomes are there? Well, there's 6. So I find down here 6, and right there it is, and I'm gonna put the letter A. So that's how we do the bottom there, okay? If I do another one in this section here, let's say I do this one right here. If I roll, I'm gonna do H in number 1. If I roll the die 60 times, how many times would you expect to get a 1? Well, if I think about it here, what's the probability of getting a 1? So I have 6 choices out of 1. That's what I would have. That's after 1 roll. But I remember, I'm going to roll it 60 times. So I'm going to take 1/6 times 60, okay? And that's going to give me 60 over 6, which would be 10. So 10 would be my solution there for that one, okay? So that would be right here. This would be letter H. I would do the same thing on I. I'll help you set it up. How many times would you expect to get a 5? Well, there's only 1 5 out of 6. And I'm rolling this 300 times. And if I do the math, I should be able to figure out my answer for that one, okay? Number 2, it says, we'll go through these. You have a spinner. Now remember, this A here is 50%. That's 1/2. And remember, these are 1/4. Okay? So I want to be able to, what's the probability of it landing on A? What's the probability of it landing on B? Well, we've pretty much already answered those. If I spin the spinner 50 times, how many times would it expect it to land on A? So this, if I do this one, A and these two, you should be able to see we've answered those. T, so it's basically like we did up on the top. What's the probability of A? 1/2. I'm going to multiply it by 50 because that's how many times I want to spin it. I'm going to do the same thing for C. I know the probability is 1/4. I'm spinning it 80 times. I multiply those, I'll be able to get those. So that one's answered there for you, okay? All I gotta do is work those out. 3, all you're doing here is just like we've done before. I won't go too far into them. You gotta know how many do you have all together. We have, looks like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So it looks like each one of them has 10 is your total outcomes. And now you just need to find what is your wants. So like this, not white. How many of these are not white? Well, there's only one that's white, so obviously not white would have to be 9. See what I'm talking about there? Black or white. Well, there's 3 blacks, 1 white, so that's 4 out of 10. And you would have to simplify some of these 2/5. Okay? The last one's down here at the bottom. Says, if you flip a coin 150 times, how many times would you expect to get heads? Well, if I flip a coin, so what's the probability of flipping a coin? Remember, flipping a coin is 1/2, 1 out of 2, and you're flipping it 150 times. So if I multiply that, I can be able to get my answer. C, on number 4, says the letters A, E, I, O, U, and Y are vowels. If one letter of the alphabet is chosen at random, what is the probability that it is a vowel? Well, there are 26 letters in the alphabet. And so then how many choices here are vowels? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I can simplify that and be able to find my answer there for that, okay? As I move on. So I do the same thing here on K. It says if I pick a random date in April, how many equal likely outcomes are there? Well, how many, basically this is asking you, K is asking you, how many days are there in April? 30 or 31, okay? That's basically it. You gotta figure that out. You can look at a calendar. And P says a magician asks you to pick a card, any card from a standard deck of 52 cards. What's the probability of picking an ace? Well, it tells you that there are, sorry with my camera work, 52 cards in a whole deck. How many aces are in a deck? Well, you got to think about it. I'll let you think about that. And that's what this number is right here. It tells you how many numbers of aces are in the deck. So let me see if I can write that in here. That tells you the number of aces. So that's got to be a number right there. It's not 0. There's a number, and you should be able to simplify that. So number of aces in a standard deck out of 52. So there's homework 13 and 14 there for you. Okay. Day 15 is the last one, is your quiz. There's only 5 problems. Now, I will not answer these questions. I will read them to you, and you can go through them. And remember, you can pause this video, do the video one day at a time, come back to it, whatever. You have that the luxury. Please email me if you need help on these. So this one here says, Alex bought 10 notebooks for school of the notebooks. 5 were blue, 2 were red, and 3 were green. What was the theoretical probability of Alex choosing a green notebook? Okay, so you can pick. So remember, total, I have 10 notebooks. How many were green? 3. So I have 3 out of 10. Well, if I look here, I do not have the answer 3 out of 10. So I need to put that into a calculator. 3 divided by 10, and it will tell me one of these answers. And I will tell you it's not going to be A, and it's not going to be C. Okay? Number 2, what is the probability of rolling a number cube with the faces numbered 1 through 6, getting a number greater than 4? Well, how many choices do we have in the number cube 1 through 6? There are what? 6, right? 6 choices. How many of those, you need to figure out how many of those numbers are 4 or more. Greater than 4. So that's what? 5 and 6. So that's how many? 2. But I don't have 2 6. One of those is the solution. 2 out of 6. And I will tell you that it's not going to be this one, and it's not going to be that one. 3. The Skate Pro company manufactures skateboards. They found 12 defective in a batch of 400. How many defective would they might find in 1,200? Ooh, so they have 12 out of 400. So I'm going to set it up with, there's my probability. Okay. I want to know how many would be if I did the 1,200. Well, I'm going to ask you this. What can I multiply by 4 to get 12? When you figure that number out, you can take that and multiply it, and it will tell you your answer by 12. So what times 4 gives you 12? Because that's what I've done here to increase it. If I multiply that by this number, what would this answer be? Okay, I'll tell you it's not A and it's not D. All right. Number 4, the board game uses a spinner like the one shown. The areas of the section 1, 2, and 3 are equal. The areas of the sections 4 and 5 are equal. The area of section 4 is half the area of section 1. What is the probability that the spinner will land on a 1? So notice all these are not equal to each other. Okay? This tells you 5 and 4 are the same. 1 and 2 and 3 are the same. And it tells you that the area of 4 is half the area of 1. Okay, so that's basically, I cut that in half, cut that in half, cut that in half. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 4 is at 1/8. This is at 1/8. 1, 3, and 2. See that? Here's 1. It has 2 of those pieces. 3 has 2 of those pieces. 2 has 2 of those pieces. 1 piece equals 1/8. What would the area of the